and thanks very much for inviting me along today. Good morning, folks. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Some of you will probably recognise from my accent, I'm actually from Glasgow, so it was an early start battling through the wind and the hail and the rain and the snow. But it's great to be here. I am Scottish National Coordinator for Smart Recovery, and hopefully over the next hour I'll be able to tell you a bit about what Smart Recovery is, who we are, where we come from, what we do, and how we do that. Okay? As Glenn touched on, obviously we'll have a section towards the end of my presentation for a Q&A, and please be thinking of some questions, both people in the room and online. More than happy to expand on anything I've talked about. I've called this presentation Discover the Power of Choice. In Smart, we use that phrase a lot. And I've subtitled it Mutual Aid in the Community and Treatment Services, a partnership approach to recovery. Smart, from its very inception, back in the early 1990s in the USA, has always been a partnership, a relationship, if you like, between psychologists and academics working in the addictions field and practitioners, and the other group of experts, people who are in sustained recovery from addiction. Okay? SMART stands for Self-Management and Recovery Training. Okay? The emphasis being there on people taking responsibility for their behaviours. Now, I've been in recovery for 5 years, and until the age of 40, I did not do responsibility. I wasn't responsible for my actions. Somebody else did it. I was a sort of 40-year-old Bart Simpson, if you like, you know. It wasn't me. Can't prove it. No. If anybody said responsibility, by the time that word was actually out their mouths, I was usually out of the room, you know. What I realised when I got into recovery, and particularly through using SMART, was that responsibility is not a huge big weight upon my shoulders. Responsibility is actually an opportunity for me to get to know me better and to get to recognise behaviours that are unhelpful to me. And when I got to that stage, I realised that I could change those behaviours for myself. So SMART is an abstinence-orientated organisation. We're a mutual aid organisation. Our main focus is on peer-led mutual aid meetings. Meetings facilitated by people in recovery for people in recovery. We're secular and science-based. We use tools and techniques from rational emotive behaviour therapy, cognitive behaviour therapy, motivational interviewing, and we embrace the cycle of change model. As I said earlier, SMART has evolved from a partnership between people in recovery and addiction psychologists, academics, and practitioners. You know, SMART started off, really came out of the rational recovery movement in the US in the early 90s. And as I said, it's this combination of experts in the field, people in recovery, and practitioners coming together and pooling their knowledge and experience. Okay? We talk about being secular and science-based because what we are aiming to do in our SMART meetings is give meeting participants access to tools and techniques that are going to make recovery easier for them. Okay? On top of our pure mutual aid recovery meetings facilitated by people in recovery, we also work directly in partnership with professionals, with service providers. And I'll talk a little bit about that later on. So our network of SMART meetings out in the community across the UK at the moment, we have a growing and vibrant network of peer-led mutual aid meetings across Britain. These meetings are led by a facilitator, okay? And the whole point and ethos of a SMART meeting is that people learn how to use tools and techniques to enhance their own recovery through participation in their meeting. Facilitators themselves usually become facilitators through first attending SMART meetings for their own recovery, participating in the meetings, learning the tools through the meetings. Then, if they want, they can go on to do our online training course. There are 2 sections to our online training. One section entitled Get Smart, which is designed specifically for meeting participants to deepen their knowledge and understanding of the tools and techniques we talk about in meetings. And once they've completed that, they have the opportunity to go on and do our facilitator training, which talks more about the meeting structure, the role of a facilitator in a SMART meeting. And by the completion of these 2 parts of our online training, the facilitator can, if they wish, then go on and begin to think about starting their own meeting and proliferating our network of mutual aid meetings across the UK. We provide manuals, resources and materials to do that, both to facilitators and to meeting participants. We also run a partnership scheme with service providers. Tell you a little bit about some of the ethos of SMART as a mutual aid organisation, okay? As I said, we are secular and science-based. We view addiction simply in terms of human behaviour. Cognitive, your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotional state, your feelings, and your actions, what you do and what you say, okay? We believe, as I said earlier, that by taking responsibility for our own behaviours, we gain insight and awareness and can change those behaviours that don't work very well for us. And really the only caveat for membership of a SMART meeting, we ask that meeting participants have a genuine personal desire to gain independence from any type of addictive behaviour that they're experiencing. Okay? We are behavioural. We don't have a view about addiction in terms of why am I the way I am. Okay? The disease concept, to be perfectly frank, speaking personally, doesn't really interest me anymore. Right? I'm interested in my own recovery. I'm interested in how I can change. And I know I can change now after 5 years in recovery. But that change that I've experienced and I see other people are experiencing was all about changing my behaviour. Behaviour towards myself initially, and then behaviour to the outside world, the people around me, and the rest of the community that I live in. And all of that I've been able to do through using SMART. Okay? We have a 4-point programme in SMART, a bit more accessible than maybe the 12-step programme, right, of the fellowships. Our 4-point programme is basically 4 areas of life that we ask people to look at if they're serious about making a decent fist of their recovery. Okay? In SMART meetings, we have a range of tools and techniques that are designed specifically to help